Hi and welcome to my channel. I'm Simon and today I am back with my May book haul. So the books, well, some of the books that I got sent by publishers, books that I bought myself. And did I get any gifts? Yes, one, which I'll save to the end because Chris bought me a book, which is quite a rare thing. Anyway, there's so many books. I think this might be one of my biggest hauls. As you'll have seen from the thumbnail, I couldn't even hold all the books up. There's all of these ones here and then there's another set on this shelf below. So let's just get on with it. This is the sort of, I suppose, byproduct. I was going to say hazardous waste. No, I was going to say, I don't know what I was going to say. I was thinking it was along the lines of, this is, I suppose, the hazardous byproduct of, that was what I wanted to say. The hazardous byproduct of me only doing one of these a month, and this is already me going on for far too long, so let's just get talking about the books. So as always, I want to mention the books that I have shown on the channel before but have come either in paperback or they're finished editions from proofs. The first of which is a paperback edition of Fault Lines by Emily Atami, which I read last year and really loved. And do you know what? I feel like I did this book a disservice. I read it in quite a rush and I don't think I got the most out of it. And there's a few books from last year actually where I had a bit of a year, and I feel like this is heading that way a bit. I've been very slumpy of late. Oh, that fly is going to get on my nerves. Let me let it out. I am back. I have let the fly out. I've decided to leave the windows open as this room becomes quite a sun trap and heat trap. It's like walking into a sauna when I've been away for a while. But it does mean you'll get the delightful sounds of a blackbird in the background. I think blackbirds sing some of the sweetest songs genuinely in nature. So that's going to be on the background and I think it's lovely. I won't apologise for it. I don't know where I was going with that. Let's carry on with the books. So then we have in finished hardback form Take My Hand by Dolene Perkins Valdez. And I think this is about a woman who ends up working for part of like a medicine faculty, and it's meant to be where young people from difficult backgrounds are being helped by given treatment, but it turns out that the treatment that they are being given is something very different and it's from the government and it's very dangerous, and I think it sounds amazing, so I'll be reading that soon. And then last but not least, in terms of books that have come in finished form, I have Wildfires by Sophie J, which I really want to get to. This is a sort of domestic drama about a family that goes from Toronto to Trinidad, I believe. So yeah, really excited for this, and I love that cover. The one nightmare of having the windows open though is that you do get the airplanes coming over, going somewhere lovely and abroad, and I'm not jealous about that at all. On to the books sent by publishers that I've chosen to share with you because I think they're going to be very me. I want to talk about the books that I really want to talk about. Know what I mean? First of those is I'm a Fan by Sheena Patel, and this is from Rough Trade Books, and Sheena is one of the 4 brown girls who write. There was a brilliant collection of poetry pamphlets of which she had written one, and this is her debut novel. I don't know what it's about, I just know it's in this gorgeous cloth-bound edition and I can't wait to read it. It was one of the Observer's debut picks for the year. Now we're getting some sort of siren. This is going to be an interesting old time. Then I have a 2023 book. I know, a 2023 book. This is mad. It's really good actually, by Monica Heisey, who is one of the writers on Schitt's Creek, which I adored. Once I got into it, I actually struggled with the first series, but once I got into it, I really loved it. I miss it very much. That's all I know about it, and that's all I'm gonna know about it before I go in. I quite like going into books kind of quite cold, I guess, knowing not too much about them, just getting a flavour of them. And in this case, all I needed to know was wrote some of Schitt's Creek, job done. So I'll be getting to that one very soon. When is too soon for me to start talking about 2023 books that I've read? Not ones that are coming, but just books that I've read. Let me know. Then I have a proof of Benjamin Dean's The King is Dead, Long Live the Scandal. A royal reimagining full of scandalous secrets, rollercoaster romances, and one hell of a mystery. And this is Benjamin Dean's first YA novel. He has written 2 middle grade novels, the first of which I loved. It was about Me, My Dad and the Rainbow, I want to say, and I just thought it was joyous. I need to read his second actually, and I saw it in a bookshop saying didn't get it, and I should have. Shame on me. It makes me think a bit of Red, White and Royal Blue possibly, but I think it's probably going to be possibly a little bit better. We have some real flash fiction. Now I don't read flash fiction that very much. I can't speak that very much. I think this is also a mixture of poetry as well, looking through it, and just kind of flicking through. It's vignette for sure. And this is 808s and Other Worlds by Sean Avery Medlin. And this is a debut collection by them and looks at the effects of media misrepresentation on the performance of black masculinity through storytelling, rhymes and vulnerable narratives in conversation with both contemporary hip-hop culture and systemic anti-blackness. 808s and Other Worlds pieces together a speculative reality where black folk are simultaneously superhuman and dehumanised. Sounds amazing. This is from Dead Ink Books. Actually, it says poetry and essays, so not flash fiction at all. I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm just very, very excited about it. I do know that much to be true. Now the door's creaking open. What time? I kind of was just in the mood to film and now I'm sat here on a Sunday evening thinking, really, Simon, should you have bothered? It's probably going to go dark any minute and then that'll just ruin everything. Also from Dead Ink Books, I have Animals at Night by Naomi Booth, which is out in June, which this video will be going out by then. Honestly, it's too much. I'll leave that door open for now, but if one of the cats comes in, it's going to be a nightmare. Or you might hear Chris singing in the background or something. Animals at Night is Naomi Booth's, I think, third novel. Or possibly actually it says from the author of The Lost Art of Sinking, Sealed and Exit Management. I have Sealed and Exit Management on my shelves. I love this kind of weird taxidermy rabbit cover. I don't know what it's about. I don't even know if it might actually be short stories.
Possibly. Is it? Maybe? Yes, it is.
I know that I really want to read Naomi Booth at some point, and so this is one I'm very keen to get to. This book, again, don't know very much about it. There's a theme here. It's Cold Fish Soup, which I think is a brilliant title. It's from Sarah Brown Books. It's by Adam Ferreira. Adam. It's by Adam. And the publisher got in touch with me because they said that Jen Ashworth, who is an author I adore, but also a friend of mine who I adore, thought that I would really, really love this. And so I was like, well, I'll go on then. And then I saw a picture of the author, and their author shot is them in kind of this gold lame suit in the sea. And that was me sold, frankly. Jen Ashworth here says, a bold new voice in non-fiction writing. And I want to read more non-fiction, so maybe I need to read this very soon indeed. Do you get the feeling I wasn't prepared for this video and hadn't really looked at the books properly? But then we're discovering them together, so that's fine, right? One of the most sort of talked about proofs in the UK for a while. This is actually Trust by Hernan Diaz, which I've seen doing the rounds massively on Instagram at the moment. But on the front it says Bonds, a novel by Harold Vanner. And then it says My Life by Andrew Bevel. And then it says A Memoir Remembered by Ida Partenez. And then it says Futures. And then you have the actual proof. And then you've got all of this. I mean, this is amazing marketing, frankly. And you've got that image of New York, which is a city I love and I hope to be going to in the autumn. Next up, sorry, I had to stop and start then because I saw something really, really, really ridiculous, and I normally keep all the ridiculous things in that I say, but this time I just thought, no, you've gone too far, Simon. You will never know what that ridiculous thing that I said was. It's going to be one of life's great mysteries. Next, I have Joyce Carol Oates' Babysitter. I have never read any Joyce Carol Oates. We've now been joined by a wood pigeon. Babysitter is her new novel that is coming out in September, so could this be the first one that I try? I know Eric Carl Anderson absolutely loves her and raves about her, and I've always meant to read her because of his ravings, but also my gran really loved, I think it might have been The Falls, set around Niagara Falls, I think, and maybe had a queer element to it. But I remember my gran saying she absolutely loved that, and possibly as well, was it The Gravedigger's Daughter? I've meant to read it for ages. Maybe this is the one and this is the time. And we have some more non-fiction that I'm really keen to read. Whatever Happened to Queer Happiness by Kevin Brazil. This really, really intrigues me because it's something that I talk about a lot where I'm like, why do queer films, queer books, basically queer media, why does it not always really, well, why does it rarely have a happy ending? And I think this is something that Kevin Brazil looks at. It's from Influx Press and it is out in September. Why do I keep saying that? I am getting pronounced better, Simon. My gran would be saying that if she was here. Maybe she opened the door and came in and she sat over there watching me and tutting at the way that I'm also moving my hands a lot, but also not slowing down and pronouncing properly. What was I saying then? Oh yeah, I'm getting quite a lot of queer non-fiction poetry and literature at the moment, and it's something that I've not read masses of because I read so much when I got into reading again in my mid-20s after having not read for a long time. But I feel like the love is there again between me and queer fiction, which is an odd thing to say considering part of the queer community. But anyway, blah, blah, blah. Lovely folk at Europa Edition saw that I had found a Ferrante that I loved, and so very kindly sent me one that I was missing, which is The Days of Abandonment. It seems to me that me and Eleanor get on best with her shorter works, and so I've got high hopes for this one, and also one that I bought myself when I was in Italy, which is somewhere in the chaos of that side of the room. This side of the room is quite decently sorted, and actually I decided to film this because I've been trying to sort the room out before I go away again, so that when I come back for the long weekend, which is probably when this will go live at some point, I can come back to a tidy house, but it's not quite worked out that way. Anyway, I'm looking forward to getting to more short Ferrante fiction. And then they also sent me Tell Me About It by Sasha Naspini, which I also bought, but the not Italian edition in terms of it was written in Italian, because I wish I could read in another language. I wish I could talk another language. I wish I could talk my own language sometimes, frankly. This is the one that I mentioned, I think it was called Nines or Nines, which is about a woman who, after the death of her husband, brings her favourite chicken into the house, realises she much prefers living with chickens, and then the chicken gets sick. So what does she do? And we follow her. It sounds brilliant. Now, on to, I do these in size order, I don't know why. Next up is one of the books that I'm just most excited to read right now at the moment, and that is Mother Thing by Ainsley Hogarth. And on the front it says she's dead in the basement and she's refusing to leave. How amazing is that cover? I just think this sounds incredible. I kind of want to read it now. Why do I put off books? Why don't I just want to read something and just read it? Should I just pack this with me right now? You can be answering at the screen, yes, Simon, yes. But actually, I'll have been gone and come back by now. So who knows whether I'll have followed that advice you're shouting at me now or not. Oh, that sounded like it was stuck to the other one. Sayaka Murata's Life Ceremony. I have still not read Earthling, and I really, really want to. Or is it Earthlings? I have read Convenience Store Woman and I really liked it. This is short stories. I love what they're doing with her covers. I think they're fantastic. I should say it is translated by Ginny Tapley Takamori from Japanese. I want to read a lot more translated fiction. The international book got me so excited, the long list this year, that it reminded me how much great translated fiction there is that I just don't even, well, some I'm not even aware of, but also when I am, I just don't get to, and I need to change that. Then we have a collection of, an anthology, of 100 queer poems collected by Mary Jean Chan and Andrew McMillan, poets who I adore, so I'm hoping I'm going to adore all the poems in here. I have found that, like when I got back into reading fiction, queer fiction was what I loved. Getting into poetry, queer poetry tends to be something that really resonates with me. So I hope this will introduce me to 100 poets that I'm very excited to read more. Or maybe like 98 if these two have got one of their ones in, because I already love them both. Young Woman by Jessica Moore. I don't know very much about this at all. This arrived unsolicited, but I've heard amazing things about her debut, A Keeper. And I've got this sort of urge at the moment to read sort of, it's going to sound really odd, nasty fiction. Books that are kind of unsettling and dark and twisty and confronting. And I feel like this could fall into that category possibly. So yeah, intrigued for that one. And then also speaking about queer fiction, we have The Kingdom of Sand by Andrew Holleran. This is Andrew Holleran's first novel in decades, since Dancer from the Dance, which I also haven't read. And I feel like maybe another thing I'd like to do going forward is read more of, going back again to queer literature actually, more sort of classics from queer writers of the past, but then possibly head to this one too. Then, in that size order still, sorry, it's because there's so many. Bear Woman by Carolina Ramquist. And is this translated? Yes, translated by Saskia Vogel, whose debut novel I still have not read. And this is about a woman who arrives on, well, what is to become Canada one day, and actually Nova Scotia. And she is pregnant, I believe, and is just abandoned. And she brings up her child, and then the father of her child turns up again years later and finds her in this new situation, in this isolated place. Sounds interesting. That's in danger of falling over. Then we have another book for 2023. Honestly, I can't believe it. It's Wayward, and it says they tried to cage us, but a wayward woman belongs to the wild. We cannot be tamed. And that sounds amazing, and also look at that. It's also Discover the Power of Being Wayward in 2003's biggest debut. That is quite acclaimed Borough Press, but I'll run with it. I really love that cover. This is something that I'm really keen to get to soon. 2 proofs I think people are going to be very jealous of. In fact, actually 3 proofs that I think people are going to be very, very jealous of. The first is Less is Lost by Andrew Sean Greer, which is the sequel to Less, which I still have not read. I feel like I can't read this until I've read Less, so I need to get to Less and then I can read Less is Lost. So there's that one. We have the new Celeste Ng, Our Missing Hearts. I still have not read Little Fires Everywhere, which is so silly because Everything I Never Told You is a book that like is one of my favourites, so that's really daft of me. I think I feel again like I need to read these in order of publication, but I don't know anything about this. I just saw the word librarians. That makes me excited. I don't know what she's going to do here. I'm not going to look. It says it's about a 12-year-old called Bird Gardner, I think, and that's all I saw, and there's birds kind of on the cover. But yeah, I'm very, very keen to get to this. I think Little Fires Everywhere again is a book that I got so excited about and then just didn't get round to, and really, come on Savage, sort yourself out. Another book that I think lots of people are very excited to get their mitts on, including myself now that I have my mitts on it, is Erin Keller's The Skeleton Key. I love Erin Keller's thrillers. Sorry, I've got some hair in my... What is going on with this video? I do apologise. I hope you're sat with a lovely cup of tea and are just sort of tittering to yourself at my daftness. Again, don't know anything about it. 1 book, 2 families, a lifetime of obsession. Particularly with thrillers, I want to know next to nothing before I start them. I kind of want that with most of the books that I get, like you can kind of see, which is why I don't know very much about a lot of these, just to have an idea. But I know that this will be an absolute treat, and the cover is very much like this, the finished edition, and I just think it is beautiful. So yeah, and I love Erin Kelly, she's ace. I wasn't sure about this, but then I decided I absolutely was sure about it. And this is The Queens of The Queens of Sarmiento Park by Camila Sosa Villarda, and it says on the back, a prize-winning debut novel from Argentina about sex work, chosen family and gender identity. That just sounds amazing. Oh, I've just spotted there's some writing there. It says, I gave birth to you too, but through a path of thorns and blood. I too screamed in pain when I brought you into the world, and I am just as much your mother. It's quite confusing. Quoted from this, but yeah, there we go. Penultimately, from publishers, I have DJ Fat Tony's I Don't Take Requests, which is his memoir. I think DJ Fat Tony is hilarious, absolutely hilarious on Instagram and stuff. I'm really, really keen to get to this one in due course, as I am some more queer non-fiction. Bad Gays, A Homosexual History. I think that was Oscar just shouting there. Anyway, Bad Gays, A Homosexual History by Hugh Lemmy and Ben Miller, which is apparently a podcast that I'd heard nothing about before, and so I'm super duper excited for that. Right, on to sort of a gift, and that's because this book is one that I took from the set of Guy Arts Book Club. I won't lie. The Marmalade Diaries by Ben Aiken, and this is the true story of an odd couple. Ben, during the pandemic, ended up living with this woman, I think in her 80s, and kept a diary of what it was like living with her, and like weird things like how her family like made sure he wasn't going to be able to get the will or anything like that. All very, very odd. And I had heard a little bit of this and chose it as one of the books that I'd recommend in one of the episodes about stocking fillers. It'll all make sense when you see Sky Arts Book Club, if you see it. Sometimes I do mention books that I haven't read yet. It isn't always books that I have read. This just really, really appealed to me, and they brought the book in, obviously, so I took it with me when I left. I am allowed to do that, I promise. Then, on to books that I bought myself, and the one that I'm probably the most excited about at the moment, and has sort of inspired this wanting to read sort of nasty fiction, is The Melting by Liz Spitt. And this just sounds amazing. And it was this first line that really, really sold it to me. What if you could take revenge on an entire village? And what this book is about 3 friends in the 1980s who do something that causes huge repercussions for them and another young person. And then several years later, it comes back to the fore, and I think scores are settled. Settles aren't scored, but scores are settled. And I just love that cover. I'm really, really, really keen to read that very soon. I was recommended this by the wonderful Niven Govindan. Oh, I should say this is translated, I think, from Dutch by Kristen German. Like I said, I want to read much more translated fiction. I must get better at mentioning translated authors, although I do think they should put the translator on the cover of books. So pick a door. When you next do an imprint, next printer run of that, do that. Because now we have a book, like I said, that was recommended to me by Nevin Govinden, and this is An Orphan World by Giuseppe Caputo, translated by Joanna Adcock and Sophie Hughes. And one of the reasons that Nevin Govinden recommended this to me was I really loved Keith Ridgway's The Long Fall. The writing's so brilliant. It's about this policeman who could possibly be at a riot, or he could be in a sauna. Not the sort of sauna that I compared this library to earlier because it gets so hot. But a lot of this book apparently is written in a sauna and looks at queerness. In which area is it set? I think it might be Mexico. Colombia. That I just think sounds brilliant. I saw Jen talk about this and this just sounded amazing, and so I ordered a copy from America. It's Manhunt by Gretchen Felker Martin, and it says Beth and Fran spend their days travelling the ravaged New England coast, hunting feral men and harvesting their organs in a gruesome effort to ensure they'll never face the same fate. Robbie lives by his gun and one hard-learned motto, other people aren't safe. After a brutal accident entwines the three of them, this found family of survivors must navigate murderous turfs, a sociopathic billionaire bunker brat, and awkward relationship dynamics, all while outrunning packs of feral men and their own demons. I mean, it just sounds brilliant, so yeah, that was purchased. I have bought a copy of this. No, I haven't actually, that's not true. The publishers very kindly sent me a copy of this. I bought this edition because I just think the cover is way better, although I do like the UK edition. It's Woman Eating by Claire Coder, and this is a vampire tale with a very contemporary setting. So yeah, another one that I kind of feel like I want to read right now. I also got, and I can't remember who recommended this poetry collection, but I've seen it in a few different places. I want to say Matthew Sharappa did, but I'm not sure that's 100% true. It feels like a Matthew Sharappa book. It's All the Flowers Kneeling by Paul Tran, and this is a debut poetry collection, a book about survival and a book about love, and apparently it's visceral and astonishing. It also has these beautiful little simple illustrations. That's kind of patronising, I don't mean to, inside too. So really looking forward to that one. Now, I said I wanted to read more translated fiction, and I've bought quite a few books in translation for myself, including Drive Your Plough Over the Bones of the Dead by Olga. I can never say her surname. Tzujic? I don't know. I feel awful that I don't know, and I've got to listen to it over and over and then it'll sink in. It's a dreadful excuse because it's just laziness, frankly. I'm really keen to read Olga's work because I've seen so much chat about her, and I think this is going to be the most me. And I know that Ewan, a hardback hype beast, he really rates this book. And again, this is a book that I feel like I could read right now. It's set in a Polish village, and it's about a woman who I think, her dogs have disappeared, and then she ends up getting sort of embroiled into some sort of murder mystery, I think. It's won the Nobel Prize for Literature, so yeah, intrigued I am for this. I may possibly have ordered the American edition because I really like those covers. I was sent a copy of this by the publisher, a proof, but I wanted to support the book by buying a copy of it myself, so I got Only on the Weekends by Dean Atta. I should say that from this point, these two and the next three were all books that I bought in Bookhouse in in Bristol. It's becoming one of my absolute favourite bookshops. The way it sort of promotes indie publishers, but also queer voices, and yeah, I just love it. If you ever get the chance to go, if you're in Bristol, do, because it is fantabulous is the term I would use. I also picked up Die My Love by Ariana Harwitz, which is again a book from Charco Press. I've heard this raved about by quite a few different people, but actually it came up, it matches this top quite nicely, when I was talking about, I asked on Instagram for people to recommend me nasty fiction, and this came up a couple of times, so that really intrigued me. So yeah, there's that one. I actually thought I had it, so I was a bit worried that I had two copies, but I haven't got it. Another one that came up in that list of recommendations was The Odyssey by Laura Williams, who I've meant to read for ages and have not. This sounds like going to be really quirky and weird and kind of the perfect summer read, because it's set on a cruise ship where a woman is working and she slowly gets she slowly starts to get asked to do more and more random things, and it all starts to get a bit strange. So we have that one. The lighting is also going a little bit awry because it's getting darker and sunsetty. Anyway, last but not least, from Bookhouse, I got Violets by Kyung Suk Shin, which is translated by Anton Her, who had translated 2 of the books on the Booker International longlist this year, and I love him on Instagram ridiculously, and so I was like, right, I need to give this a whirl. I do know that Matthew Sharappa has talked about this one a lot. Interesting that if this becomes a favourite book, there could be 2 books called Violets that I would have absolutely loved this year. So there's a random aside. For the book that I got as a gift, let's pop these up here, I did an order for some books from Australia / some Australian editions that I thought were better than UK editions. And the book that set it off, I do this every so often from Readings, which is an independent chain of bookshops in Australia, and I love Australian literature. I would love to go to Australia, fingers crossed I might do next year. I saw that Jane Rawson has a new book. Jane Rawson wrote From the Wreck, which is a book that I completely and utterly fell in love with. I even got a quote on the cover of the hardback when it got published here in the UK, and I'm so intrigued by this one, especially as if you notice, like, the woman on the cover is sort of disappearing, so I'm hoping this is going to have a bit of a otherly twist. But it's set in the 1930s, it's in Adelaide, and it's about sisters, and that's all I know. I don't want to know more. I just want to go into this and discover and see where Jane takes me. Very excited for that one. And then before I talk about editions that I could have got in the UK, in fact one of them, 2 of them I did have UK editions of. This is The Burnished Sun by Mirandi Riwo, and I bought this because I believe I'm going to absolutely love her debut novel, which is Stone Sky Gold Mountain, which I have been told by so many people, because I really, really loved Sipam Zhang's How Much of These Hills is Gold. I will absolutely adore that one. And then I just saw this cover and thought it was so beautiful, and it's not out in the UK, that I got that one too. And then I got 3 books, 2 of which I do have the Fitzcarraldo editions of already, but I really love what Fitzcarraldo editions are publishing, and I love the fact that they do blue for fiction, white for non-fiction. I want to support an indie. However, and it was Ewan actually again of Hardback Hypebeast who said this, just like with Persephone books, I wouldn't want all my shelves to look the same, and I do find I like books sort of with an image on the cover. I know that sounds really weird, especially because actually Jessica Owls, which is one of the books that I have got from Fitzcarraldo Editions, Old Enough for Snow, that isn't really that much of an image on the cover, if we're honest, but it's not just a blue cover with white writing. I know that sounds really, really odd and daft, but there we go. Anyway, this is meant to be a wonderful short, sharp book about a mother and daughter who are going on holiday in Japan, and what follows on from there and looks at their relationship. And then I got this edition of Paradise by Fernanda Melchor. I really want to read Hurricane Season first. However, as I was doing the shop, I thought, oh, that is stunning. I want it. I think it's like a tongue and an apple. So I just think that's really, really cool. Also, it has who it's translated on the cover. It's translated by Sophie Hughes, so we have that one. And then I've mentioned big books, and I want to read some big books over the summer, and I probably will buy the Fitzcarraldo edition of this one because I would be less bothered about it getting battered about. And also, I have to be honest, when I've read Fitzcarraldo editions before, they have fallen apart, which has been a bit of a thing. I would really like this summer to read the books of Jacob by Olga, I can't say it, translated by Jennifer Croft. I just think this would be such a challenge, and I think probably a good one. I was talking to one of my colleagues who's becoming a firm friend, Marusha, last week, and she was like, Olga is the one. She is the shizzle. And so, yeah, I'd already ordered this actually. I would like to read it at some point in due course. So there we go. Last but not least, I thought I was about to round up then, and Chris bought me a book this very day as we went to book a bookshop today, and I have the proof of this, but there was a signed edition, and whenever I go into an independent bookshop, I don't like to leave without a book. One of my neighbours, it's Maps of Our Spectacular Bodies by Maddie Mortimer. And this video is not sponsored by Ewan of Hardback Hypebeast, but he has raved about this book and got me to really want to read it. I've also just spotted that Kieran Lord Hargrave is quoted on the back, an intricate portrait of a life hurtling towards the inevitable. And from what I gather, this book, oh, there's even a matching bookmark inside, and you can see cells from the body inside too. But this book, I believe, is told by cancer as it goes through a woman's body, and that just kind of, I think this could be quite amazing. I know Ewan said it made him cry a lot, so yeah, we'll see what effect it has on me. I can say thanks a lot, Chris, for buying me such a cheerful book, but I picked it. But it's very nice to be bought a book. That is my May book haul. I'm sure a couple more will arrive while I'm away, but they'll have to count as June. No one will know. Well, you will do now, but there we go. You'll have to just guess which ones are which when I do my June wrap up. Not wrap up, book haul. Speaking of wrap ups though, I'm umming and ahhing about my wrap up status. I didn't do one in April. I haven't read that much in May because I've ended up having a not must read May, but a must be in a massive slump May. I don't know yet. I'll have a think about it. We'll see. It may turn up, it may not, but definitely by July I want to get back into the swing of wrap ups and stuff, because I'm going to start July with my favourite books of 2022 so far. And I think that means for me with June, I'm literally going to read by whim once I've got all of the Women's Prize shortlist books that I haven't read. Just sort of go for it. That's the plan. I'm waffling, so I'll say goodbye. But thanks for watching. Let me know any of your thoughts on anything and anything in the comments down below, apart from if you've read any of these and you didn't like them, because they're new to me and I'm excited about them. But once I've read them, we can talk about them, and if you love them, hate them, felt indifference towards them, all those things, I'm more than happy to do that. But I suppose I would need to make wrap-up videos for that to happen, wouldn't I? Tricked myself there. Anyway, I hope you're all doing super duper well, and I will speak to you very soon. Bye!